Welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and today we continue our People's Choice Top 100 Board Games of All Time, covering games number 60 through 51. Over 3,000 board game designers, reviewers, publishers, and content creators have contributed to this list. So without any further ado, let's get straight to it with number 60. The People's Choice number 60 board game of all time is Underwater Cities, designed by Vladimir Suchy. In this game, players are all trying to establish livable underwater areas due to the overpopulation of planet Earth. Players are placing colored cards on the edges of the board in slots that correspond with the color of that card. Placing these cards trigger the benefit of both the slot in which it's placed and the card which is actually being played. Players are gaining resources, managing said resources, building tunnels and buildings, all the meanwhile trying to manipulate the turn order in the game. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have chosen this game as their favorite game of all time. We have Pool Union, we have Hallie.Fernie, and we have Juegos_Sumergidos. All of these people have chosen Underwater Cities as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 60. The People's Choice number 59 board game of all time is Lisboa, designed by Vital Lacerda. This game recreates the historical events that took place in the middle of the 18th century in Lisboa, or Lisbon, Portugal, where a grand earthquake that struck the city was followed by a grand tsunami, which was followed by 3 days of fires. In this game, players represent a group of nobles who are working together with engineers and architects who are commissioned to reconstruct and rebuild the grand city of Lisboa. The players are trying to influence the rebuilding of the city and the development of the different businesses in order to get the most wigs. Yes, you heard me right. In order to get the most wigs. This game features some very simple mechanisms where on a player's turn, they're simply deciding whether they want to play a card on their display or to replace an already existing card on the same display. However, these decisions do come with great ramifications, so players have to be thoughtful and strategic in what decisions they actually make. This game is currently ranked on BGG as of this recording as number 66, so it's more or less in the same ballpark as it is on the People's Choice list right here. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked this game as their favorite game of all time. We have Stepford Husband 71. We have Day_Board Gamers, in particular Dom. And we have Peaky Board Gamer, all ranking Lisboa as the number 1 game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 59. The People's Choice number 58 board game of all time is Descent, Journeys in the Dark, 2nd edition. This game is published by Fantasy Flight. It is a game that takes place in their Terranov universe. This game is a fantasy-themed dungeon crawler that features one versus all play, where one player takes on the role of the overlord, controlling all the monsters and bad guys in a quest, and the other group of players take on the role of a band of heroes who are joining their efforts in order to combat and to fight against all of these monsters and to accomplish the objectives of all the individual quests. This game has a bunch of quests that players can take on. They also can be all combined into one grand campaign. This game comes with tons of expansions, each featuring their own unique group of heroes and monsters, featuring their own particular quests and campaigns that players can partake in. Also, if you want, you can play with an app, which makes the game fully cooperative because the app takes on all the responsibilities and the duties of the overlord. So all the players have to focus on is working together as a team in order to accomplish those objectives. This game currently, as of this recording, is ranked number 119 on BGG, but the people on IG, they absolutely love it and have ranked it number 58. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who ranked Descent as their number 1 game of all time. We have Blightus, we have Guaridad de Jugones, we have Meeple Nation, in particular Andrew from Meeple Nation, and we have Nodi_Games. These people have all ranked Descent as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 58. The People's Choice number 57 board game of all time is Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar, designed by Daniele Tascini and Simone Luciani. In this game, players take on the role of different Mayan tribes, all seeking to gain the favor of the gods through the accomplishment of different endgame objectives. And there's so many different paths of victory that players can take in this game. The cool thing about this game is the gimmick of multiple rotating gears on the board that each play off of each other, with the center gear being the one that indicates when the game comes to an end. And the neat thing is that this gimmick actually works. This game features what is referred to as dynamic worker placement. First of all, players have to manage their corn, which is a very valuable resource because it's what allows them to place workers. Also, when it's the player's turn, they're faced with a decision. Either place one or more workers, but all of those workers must go on the same spot, and it has to be the lowest visible spot on one of the gears. The other choice they have on their turn is that instead of placing one or more workers, they can remove one or more workers. And it's when they remove these workers that they actually trigger the actions of the worker placement spots. So it's all about timing, anticipation, and mapping out your turns, perhaps long term, as the different gears rotate and interact with one another. This game currently, as of this recording, is ranked as high as number 41 on Board Game Geek's rankings. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked Tzolk'in as their favorite game of all time. We have The Thief Meeple. We have DJ Lady Games. We have Orbital Jogos. We have wards.and.boards, and we have Bo_and_Emily_play_games. People really like to use underscores on their IG handles, huh? These people have all ranked Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar, as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 57. The People's Choice number 56 board game of all time is Dixit. And Dixit is a party game with a twist because it's a thinking person's party game. On a player's turn, they are choosing one card, and then they're giving a one-word clue to all the players around the table. And they want their clue to be good enough that at least one person can figure out what their card is, but they don't want it to be so obvious that all the players figure it out. Because if all the players figure it out, they will not score points. But if some of the players, or at least one of the players, figure it out, they will score points. All the meanwhile, the players around the table are also selecting one card from their hand based on the one-word clue that the active player gave that round, in order to kind of throw things off and hopefully get some of the people on the table to think that their card is the active player's card. Because if they trick and deceive people into doing so, then they're going to score points for all of the people that they fool. So again, this is very thinky and creative, very abstract, because the pictures, the images on these cards are very wild and crazy and really so hard sometimes to give that perfect clue that's both clear and helpful, but at the same time not too obvious and more on the subtle side. This game currently, as of this recording, is ranked number 280 on Board Game Geek's rankings. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have chosen Dixit as their favorite game of all time. We have Red Fish, but the S in fish is really a 5. We have Spellin' Cluis, and we have Diluca_Francesca. These people have all chosen Dixit as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 56. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video, how about you do us a favor and take out a second to click on that like button down below. And while you're at it, also make sure to click on that subscribe button. Honestly, this would be a really good exercise in the middle of all this video watching. Just stretch out your hand or your fingers, move the little cursor on your device right over that thumbs up icon, and then on that rectangle that says subscribe. Thank you. The People's Choice number 55 board game of all time is Heroquest. And what can I say about Heroquest? This game is perhaps the oldest dungeon crawl board game to have ever been published. This game was first published, I think, in 1989 and was obviously very much influenced by the popular tabletop role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons. As I was doing this survey, it was very surprising to me to see how many people ranked this game as their top 5 board games of all time. And in particular, it was even more surprising seeing the international popularity of this game. Seeing people from all different continents include this game highly ranked on their own personal lists. This game, as of this recording, is ranked number 575 on Board Game Geek's rankings. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked this game as their favorite game of all time. We have May the Board Be With You. Again, lots of underscores in between those words. We have Thunderdome Games. We have Lee.Hamilton.9822. We have The Neon Toy Box. And we have Starport RPG for Kids. These people have all ranked Heroquest as their number 1 game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 55. The People's Choice number 54 board game of all time is War of the Ring, in particular the 2nd edition. This is a game based on the massively popular intellectual property, The Lord of the Rings, the movies, the books. People love this IP and they love anything associated with it. This game is an asymmetric game for 2 sides, 2 to 4 players for each group of players takes on one side. One player takes on the side of the free people of Middle-earth, while the other player takes on the shadow or the forces of Sauron. Not only does this game feature asymmetric sides with asymmetric abilities, but it also features asymmetric victory conditions. On the one side, we have the Fellowship trying to get the One Ring to Mount Doom in order to destroy it. But also, while they're at it, they're trying to persuade the free people of Middle-earth to put up a little fight against Sauron and his forces in order to buy them time to accomplish their objective. On the other side of things, if Sauron and his forces are able to conquer a certain amount of cities or strongholds, then they have won the game. This game is currently ranked, as of this recording on Board Game Geek, as high as number 13. So it's actually significantly lower on this list, albeit still pretty high at 54. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked this game as their favorite game of all time. We have Rent a Meeple. We have C Forever Games. We have Game.the.gathering. We have Worst Wargamer. We have SPP.games. We have Jeu a Theme, and we have BoardGame.Bastille. These people have all chosen War of the Ring as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 54. The People's Choice number 53 board game of all time is Architects of the West Kingdom. This game is designed by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald, and it's the first game in the massively popular West Kingdom trilogy. In this game, players take on the role of 9th century architects, all striving to impress and gain the favor of Emperor Charlemagne. They accomplish this by building landmarks throughout the kingdom and advancing the building of the Archbishop's Cathedral. Players are managing resources as well as their workforce. This game is a worker placement city building game that even features a moral element to it as far as gameplay is concerned. This game is currently ranked, as of this recording, on BGG as high as number 78. And while it is not the highest ranked game in the West Kingdom trilogy as far as BGG is concerned, it is the highest ranked game on the People's Choice list. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked this game as their number 1 game of all time. We have Board Game Mark. We have Cutterect. We have cinematic_board_games. These people have all ranked this game as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 53. The People's Choice number 52 board game of all time is Marvel Champions. This is yet another living card game in the Fantasy Flight line of games. This is a Marvel superhero themed game, fully cooperative, where players take on a team of heroes who are striving to compete against the bad guy villains in this game. If you like Marvel superheroes and you like the living card games that Fantasy Flight produces, then this game is a must-try for you. This game features some very clever mechanisms where the players are not only managing the individual hero decks that each particular hero is assigned, but they're also managing the balance between the superhero and his or her alter ego, or the secret identity of said hero. And finding that right balance, because each side of the alter ego has its own benefits and advantages and can accomplish certain things towards the end game objective. This game currently, as of this recording, is ranked at number 47 on BoardGameGeek.com. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked this game as their favorite game of all time. We have Dale _ the Casual Gamer. We have Dados y Miniaturas. We have Board Game Hubby. We have Lost Treasure Games 100. We have Dice and Dragons. And we have Benjamin _ Baez. These people have all ranked Marvel Champions as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 52. And finally, we get to the last game on today's list. The People's Choice number 51 board game of all time is Puerto Rico. This game is a classic in the board game hobby at this point. This game has about 20 years in circulation, and it is an innovator within the hobby and the industry. In this game, players are building plantations on their individual player boards representing the island of Puerto Rico. All the meanwhile, they're trying to erect production buildings in their part of the city of San Juan to combine with their plantations in order to produce goods and eventually ship those goods for victory points. This game features a very innovative mechanism, the variable phase order, where on each player's turn, there are a certain amount of roles that they can choose from. And when the active player chooses one of those roles, all the players around the table are going to carry out the action that corresponds with that role. However, the active player who chose that role is going to benefit from a bonus action that role entails. So this game becomes the ultimate challenge of timing because you want to choose the roles based on when it's going to benefit you more than the other players around the table. Because if it benefits someone else more than you, then you just did that person a favor by choosing that action for them. This game, as of this recording, is currently ranked as high as number 28 on BoardGameGeek.com. So despite the fact that it is 20 years, it has aged like fine wine. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the people who have ranked this game as their number 1 game of all time. We have Funline Gioca Online Gratis. We have Mario.Balzano. We have Hutchu.Games. And we have Board Game Geek _Alexis69. These people have all ranked Puerto Rico as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's only number 51. And that's it as far as today's list is concerned. And that's it as far as the bottom half of the top 100 games. Next video, we'll crack into the top 50. Now, these are games that have really received lots of votes as far as my survey is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us for this video. Make sure you stay tuned for next time. This is Harry saying take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming. Bye-bye.